Now to talk more about these issues is Tani, the head of the Religion and State Department with Torah Va'Avodah. Tani, thank you so much for being with me. A unique coalition, an unlikely coalition involving religious lawmakers and right-wing parties and far left-wing parties as well. There's set up to be a clash when it comes to issues of religion and state reform. But the government is vowing to address some of these issues. One of them is a deal that the last prime minister made, Netanyahu, which is an egalitarian prayer space at the Western Wall. Netanyahu made the deal. It was shelved. This new government says they're going to bring it back. That's what's written on paper. Do you think it will actually get done?
Well, I have to say first that many people thought that the status quo is going to stay with this government. One of the things that people said before it even was established is that we cannot deal with religion state issues. We'll put it aside. And we can see that also thanks to a lot of involvement from outside is that there are agreements in the coalition agreements. And one of them is the quota deal. I have to say I'm not so positive it's going to be on the table very much soon. I think it will be not the first priority of the new government. They have a lot of things on the table. Even in the religion state issues, I think the conversion bill and the Kashrut bill will come first.
On the conversion and the Kashrut bill, these are pieces of legislation that would weaken the power of the rabbinut. And in many respects, there are many religious Orthodox lawmakers, members of the public, who also support think that the rabbinut has too much control. Right. Is there momentum, do you think, for weakening the rabbinut? Where does the community stand on this?
Well, I think, first of all, the main principle in all of the reforms suggested that we have to decentralize power from the chief rabbinate to local municipalities, local rabbinates. So basically it stays in the Orthodox world. It's not something that will allow reform or conservative conversion to be allowed in Israel religiously, but it also won't harm what they have accomplished in the Supreme Court.
So an Orthodox kind of alternative to the rabbinate.
Right. So if you take, for example, Zohar, which are rabbis, which are modern Orthodox, but Orthodox rabbis, which already give and put out private conversions and private kashrut alternatives to the chief rabbinate. I think this will strengthen them, and it will, again, decentralize the rabbinut's power. It won't take it out of the context of orthodoxy.
When it comes to changing the status quo, you believe this might be the first step, the easier path for this new coalition. Do you think this will happen?
I think since it's within the orthodoxy borders, this was one of the first things. I mean, those two bills were agreed upon in a different paper that was attached to the coalition agreements, and I believe that these will be the first priorities to bring them forward because they have more consensus even within the current coalition and also in the outside. I mean, most of the public in Israel support alternatives to Kashrut. Most of the public in Israel want to see more reasonable, more friendly options of conversion. So I think it will be a lot easier than just bringing back the quota deal, which also will come, and we'll see it coming back.
Tani, I want to ask about the ultra-Orthodox parties. UTJ and Shas had a lot of power for many years, sitting alongside Netanyahu inside the government table. They're now on the outside. Politically, is it, and amongst the base of voters, is it good amongst the political class? Is it a good idea maybe to be in the opposition? Can it actually help them politically get more votes, get support that they may have lost to, let's say, the religious Zionism camp or others, if you're on the outside for a while, and then you can use that as a way to get more votes? Or will they hurt more from that if they're out of the government for too long?
Well, we have to differentiate between issues, because when it comes to budgets to yeshivot, budgets to Haredi schools, this will be a disaster for them if it will be.
They can't influence that debate.
They can't influence, but one of the things that the new coalition agreed upon is not to harm those budgets. So we will see the new budget coming soon to the Knesset, and we will see it remains more or less the same in terms of budgets to yeshivot. But when it comes to religious pluralism, to religious services, I believe that it may help them, but I think it will help them even more than what we think, because not politically, I mean, not that they will gain more support from it, but I think they also understand we have to get to, we got to a point that we have to get something done.
Yeah.
And if it will be done, they can't support it, obviously. They have to be on the opposition. They have to go against it and vote against it. But it will be easier for them to come afterwards, maybe for this coalition, and to join it once those bills were already legislated.
Really interesting analysis, Tani. Thank you so much for being with us on the Zoom and Show on these important issues of religion and state matters.
My pleasure.